feels good to be up here, actually. This has been a journey of my own that I've been working towards for a long time. And so, okay, so today I'm talking about superpowers. And so I'm kind of redefining what a superpower is. And so as I said, my name is Moyra. Some people call me Moyra because I'm outdoor recreation, and sometimes my name is hard to remember. So I have drawn up little mind maps. I'll get to that later, but this is a little bit of a dark photo. I have a learning disability, which is what is always pushed onto me as a term that I should be identifying with. And so it comes from this like basic institution where there's this person who is the average. And it's kind of what he was talking about, trying to be normal, this average person, based on you must do this, you must do that. And it's defining who I am. But it shouldn't be, right? Because I don't feel different. I feel really awesome, and I feel like because I have a learning disability doesn't mean anything. In fact, I feel like I have an amazing ability. And so what I'd like to call learning disabilities is a superpower. Thank you. And so here's this dark institution that's telling me this. But this is how I feel with the happy sunshine and the all the people who are different. And so I'm here to talk to you today about being an individual. So I'm going to start by telling you my story about what it's like to have a learning disability, superpower. And that is that I have, when I was younger, was diagnosed with slow memory recall. And slow memory recall is, it means that when I learn information, it takes me longer to understand that information and to process that information so that I can manipulate it. So when I see a word, I try and process that word, and I have to see it a lot of times for it to become part of my repertoire of information, right? And so this working memory is different than short-term memory. Short-term memory is more of a static thing. Like, I can remember what I had for lunch. That's short-term memory. That happened 15 minutes ago, or the food that I just had. But working memory is more dynamic, and it's more about manipulating the information. And so it's funny, I was talking to my mom just before this, and I was like, Mom, what is working memory? Because I forget, I'm going to present about this. And she had to tell me 5 times that what it is. And I was like, Mom, this is the 5th time. She's like, this is exactly the point. Like, you have to keep going over things and doing repetition of things to understand. And so it was really hard growing up. Started also nursery rhymes. My mom used to read me stories, and I couldn't remember what she was telling me, but I could only remember the ending bits because that's what I remember. That was the last thing she had said. So I would make up like sayings like "pig, home, wee 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 home," and it's like I'd walk to kindergarten and be like this crazy language. I don't know. And I used to say bye, see you later, and making up all these strange words. And then I started coming home around in grade 2, and my friends were starting to learn how to read. And I came home in grade 2, and I came home crying, and I was like, Mom, I don't understand. And she was like, okay, so we're going to get through this. So I went through this diagnosis process, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And then I started going to the learning center and meeting these awesome people who were like, wow, you have so many great talents, like let's focus on that. And I was like, yes, okay. And so they were telling me, they were giving me courage to be different and embrace my differences. But then I would go out of that classroom, out of that safe environment, and all my friends would say, why do you need extra time? Like, why do you need to go there? You seem normal, I talk normally, I seem normal. But what was hard was that they didn't understand, and I couldn't make them understand because it's not something that you can just explain, right? And so it was really frustrating. And tests suck. I can't work under pressure. So many people can't work under pressure. It's not a reflection of what you know, right? And so it was a very frustrating youth when I was bullied. And I got pushed in the puddle a few times because people just didn't understand. And that really sucked. But what made it better was the support that I got from these beautiful people, all of you guys, coming here today supporting people like Miss Grant. She was like my learning strategist in high school, and she was so awesome. She would tell me, Moyra, people have such a talent to be with people and interact. I was like, thank you, because I can't do it. I can't read. Like I had all these differences, and I didn't understand. And so through the support that everyone's giving me right now, and I have learned to become an advocate, which is part of this journey that I'm on right now. And this advocating came with, super excited. I'll get to pull it off. Advocating came to understanding the system, right, of this normal system and being diagnosed. And so what I found out was that people are represented on a scale. So there's, in the middle, there's an average person, and when you get diagnosed, you either fall in the middle of that scale and then you're considered normal, or you fall out of in the distribution, right? And so for something like reading comprehension, I felt like so far that way, they were like, oh my gosh. And being told that really sucked, but it also was like, okay, so now I understand that I can't maybe read text the same way that people can. So I started to create strategies for myself. One of the strategies is advocating, talking about it, being open with it. And I also learned from this application is that everybody has a superpower. And so whether it's through spelling, people have differences in spelling. I have a friend who can't spell the super light, but that's okay because she's really good at writing. And she writes her own languages and poems, and it doesn't matter what it says, because when she performs it, it's like poetry saying, rocks, and you're like, yes, Maggie, rock. And then you have people who maybe have a hard time paying attention to things and being distracted. They get distracted easily and focusing. But those people are really good at, sorry, I'm just trying to people who have attention deficit disorder, they're really good at talking and being on the ball and just going, doing, and that's really awesome in our society. And there's some people who are like me, can't read, but I have all these other strategies, which I'll show you. And then there's the memory and listening. And all of these strategies, all these differences, all create strategies and beautiful colors. And so I'd like to try something. And you all please close your eyes for 1 second. And if you feel like you have differences if you have a superpower in spelling and you can't really spell as easily as you'd like to, raise your hand, but don't open your eyes. If you feel like you have differences in reading and it's harder for you to read and understand information, kind of like me, raise your hand. If you feel like you have a hard time focusing and you can't quite keep your attention on things, raise your hand. If you feel like you have some sort of difference in the way that you learn that is different than the institution, what the institution is telling you to be, raise your hand. And everyone who raised their hands throughout all that time, please keep your hand raised, and everybody open your eyes. And I think this is a perfect, beautiful representation of how different we all are. And it doesn't necessarily work within the system that we are working within, right? But we're all different and we're all unique. And there's almost every single person raised their hand. I think that really speaks to something. So, this is like an explosion, and I hope everyone can see this. This is how I write my notes and lecture. This is how I think. This is my representation of myself, of what I wanted to talk about in my rock talk. And so what I do is called a mind map, and I learned how to do it from Miss Grant. And so you write your idea at the center, and then you just like explode your thoughts. Because what happens in slow memory recall is that I have all these thoughts all these stimulus that are coming in, and I can't remember it and I can't recall it, but I know it's there. And so when I take the time to think, it all starts to come out. And so this is a way that I can make sense of what I wanted to talk to you about. And so now I've color coded it like a rainbow because that helps me know what I'm going to talk about next. So I started with my intro and my story, talked to me about the audience, and I talked about the learning abilities, and now I want to talk about embracing yourself because I think that's very important. And so, but not like this, consistent. Okay, great. Embracing and harnessing your superpower. So I've done this through strategies. Mind maps are one. I've done it through outdoor education. I'm studying outdoor recreation and later studies. Some people here from there. Yeah, woo-hoo. It's a lot like drama where you embrace creativity and you learn to be active. And I found a lot of similarities in the James talk. Yeah, so that. And outdoor education, it helps me be who I am. It doesn't have any pressures. I can be in nature and just like feel and be without these time pressures of tests within the classroom. It doesn't make sense for who I am and what I do. And so that was another one of my strategies, and that's what I want to do for the rest of my life because I feel like it helps everybody learn in their own way. And I think that being different is really awesome. And so sometimes I like to challenge social roles and social norms because I think that being different and not like everybody else is really great. And I think that everybody's different. You all learn something different, you all think different things. And so sometimes in the hall you might see me and feel reduced to half. And I carry around my latte board, which is South American tea. It has lots of caffeine. And I love my latte board. And I always have people coming up to me and I'm like, what is that? And it looks really strange, but it's part of who I am now. And so that's just one example of how I want to define myself in a different way. So, now the power of self-advocating and the art of asking. Power of self. So these support systems that you're giving me now, I'm so thankful for it. You're helping me become this person that I want to be. And self-advocating. It's funny, actually, I feel like right now I'm having this whole slow memory recall situation, and I appreciate it because you're all very respectful. Self-advocating. You have to redefine your social roles. Can y'all do this together? Okay, I've got it. Okay, I think what the most important thing to do is to self-advocate for yourself because as we've just seen, everybody is different in their own way. And that by embracing your differences and being who you really are, not based on any system, is the best way to be. And my roommates just reminded me of a quote that is in my house that was written one day, and that is, you do you. Because no one else is going to define you. And so I think if you were to take away anything, it's to do you and just to be yourself because that's what's beautiful in life. So thank you for going along with this journey with me, and I really respect all of this. Thank you.